All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to deconstruct nCino's out-of-the-box small business loan solution. So if you're thinking about using it, you're in the right place. We're going to get into the real effort behind the setup and what it's actually like to use day to day. Let's find out if it's the right accelerator for you.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with why this is even a thing, the Small Business Challenge. Then we'll look at what nCino actually gives you in their baseline solution. After that, the big one, what it takes to configure it. We'll see it in action, and finally, we'll wrap up with a super clear breakdown of what's in the box versus what you'll need to build yourself.
All right, first things first. Let's talk about the core problem. Why is small business lending just so difficult?
So it really boils down to this fundamental imbalance of effort versus reward. Think about it. A small business loan can take just as much time and paperwork to process as a massive commercial loan. But, the revenue on the other side is way smaller. And that inefficiency, it's what causes those slow, painful processes and, frankly, a lot of rejections for customers.
And this is where automation comes in with a pretty big promise. According to nCino, their solution can potentially cut the time it takes to get a decision by a whopping 85%. That's a massive number. It's all about tackling that core profitability problem we just talked about, head on.
So you hear this term out of the box, but what does that actually mean? Let's take a look at the toolkit nCino starts you with.
Basically, the small business baseline is like a pre-built template. It's not a finished house, but it's the blueprint and the foundation, all based on industry standards. The idea is to get you up and running with a solid process that you can then tweak and tailor.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. You're not starting from scratch here, not by a long shot. You're getting a pre-configured workflow for all your data collection, an application experience for both in-branch and online, and automated decisioning. Plus, there's manual underwriting capabilities, placeholders for your documents, a rules engine, and, get this, a pre-configured Equifax integration. That's a lot to start with.
Okay, so we've seen the toolkit. It looks pretty powerful. But now for the million-dollar question, right? What's the actual effort required to get this thing running? Let's dive into the implementation.
The setup process itself is pretty logical. You start with the basics, installing all the required software packages. From there, you configure your dependencies, turn on the features you're actually going to use, and then you get into the real meat of it, configuring your rules and pricing matrices. And of course, you wrap it all up with customization and a whole lot of testing. A good way to think about this is like moving into a new house. The required configuration, that's like getting the power and water turned on. You have to provide your credentials for things like credit bureaus. The system just won't work without them. Then there's the optional stuff. That's the fun part. Painting the walls, changing the fixtures, customizing the UI to match your brand. You're making the house your home.
So let's get a little more granular. What are these required tasks? Well, you're looking at installing over 15 different packages, things like nForce and nDoc. You'll have to set up your credit integration with Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion. Then you go into the admin panel and literally flip a switch to activate features. After that, it's about configuring your document templates, enabling encryption on certain fields, and of course, setting up all the user permissions. It's a list for sure.
Okay, so you've done the work, you've configured the system. What's the payoff? Let's see what this automated workflow actually looks like in action. We'll follow a loan officer through the process. All right, step one. It all starts right on the customer's page. The loan officer is already there, and they just find the loan product they need and kick off a new application. Simple. Next, the system only asks for the absolute essentials. What's the loan amount? What's it for? What's the borrowing structure? No fluff, just the key info needed to get a decision. It's all about minimizing clicks.
And here's where the magic happens. The second that info is in, the rules engine you configured kicks into gear. In the background, it's running the numbers, checking against your credit policy, and figuring out if this loan can be underwritten automatically.
And boom! If it passes, the system generates multiple offers right on the spot. We're talking different terms, different rates, different payments. This is an absolute game changer. The loan officer can have a real conversation with the customer right there about their actual options. And listen, this isn't just theory. You've got folks like Glenn Kocher from WSFS Bank saying they anticipate same-day approvals. That's the real-world impact we're talking about, turning a process that could take weeks into something that happens in a single day.
So to wrap this all up, let's get super clear. What do you get right out of the box, and what's going to require some work from your team? Let's break it down.
Okay, think of this as your cheat sheet for implementation.
The Equifax integration? It's pre-configured. You just need to plug in your credentials. Simple. But what if you use TransUnion or Experian? Well, the framework is there, but you're going to have to do some additional configuration. Same goes for your document manager. The placeholders exist, but you have to customize it. And for your pricing rules, they give you a template, but you have to fill it in with your institution's specific rates and rules. And definitely notice that something like the SPSS 7.0 integration isn't pre-configured at all. That's a build you'll have to tackle.
So when you boil it all down, the nCino small business baseline is like a powerful, pre-built chassis for automated lending. It's solid, it's fast, but it's not the whole car. It's up to you, your institution, to provide the fuel for that engine. That means your credentials, your credit policies, and your pricing rules. That's what really makes it go. So the question to ask yourselves isn't just, is this the right accelerator? But are we ready to get in the driver's seat and put our foot on the gas?